in the same matter to answer a PC member's questions. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. I'll start in the hall. I'm in the hall, so any raised hands on Zoom.
I do not see any, correct? Just look at quick looks. There's nobody right? It will be up here.
Oh, Connie has.
Connie just raised hers. 1 second.
Good evening. I don't know if anyone else that's on Zoom, are you guys having a hard time hearing, or is it my computer? Can you just shake your head, yes or no? Not having a problem? It's very echoey and hollow sounding. That's all I wanted to say, and just make sure you pull up to your microphones when you talk, because it is really hard. Thank you. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else. Okay. We don't have a public hearing tonight. Approval of the minutes from the December 6th meeting, and just a note that the joint meeting from the 13th will be in our February packet. Any notes, comments, updates, or motions on the December 6th minutes? Mike, you usually got one.
Yeah, I couldn't even find a spelling.
It looked okay to me.
Good. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those?
I'll make the motion, we approve the minutes, just so they
I'll second
Roll call when ready.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Robel,
Yes.
Steelman,
Yes.
DeYoung, not available, Luxemont, not available, Keaton.
Yes.
Okay, so for correspondence, we have a notice from the Elk Rapids that their draft master plan is out for comments. So that pretty much covers that one. We'll go into reports, and I see Bob's on, can he do a report, right? So Bob, if you want to unmute and give us an update, you are welcome.
Oh, yeah, I'm using, it's not like me.
He should be able to unmute. Going once, twice. All right, passing by. So I don't have anything other than what's in the packet. How about you, Heidi?
Nope. Oh, is this
yeah,
my
you-
report?
Yeah.
Oh, my report? Right, okay, nothing happens there. Guess what we have in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, we have ordinance books. But you have to do a little homework on them. So don't leave until I give you the inserts of ordinance number 63 and then a new table of contents. So you just have to remove the old table of contents and put the new table of contents in. And I suggest you start getting very familiar with this book. I could pick a few for you, but I'll let you do that. So everybody understands, I'm gonna give you some paper that you put in that book. You gotta take the table of contents out, put the new table of contents in, and put in ordinance number 63. Is it just 63? It's just 63, yes.
We do have a puncher.
Okay, I'll bring the whole punch up before we all leave, and I'll just punch them real quick.
Thank you.
So is 63 incorrect, or?
No, 63 is not in there. 63 is the parking ordinance. So it needs to be put in the book, and that's why you got a new table of contents, because 63 is not listed on the table of contents in the book.
So the old book we have is now,
That's your zoning ordinances, these are your general ordinances. Okay, okay, remember ZO or ZG, and then there's, I can sing a song.
I was trying to clarify.
It's okay, no problem.
Yep, there's,
That's why
This
one's
one's-
blue and one's white.
yeah, so you can keep them. Anything else, Heidi?
You should read the board packet, it's small, it's minute. It won't take you that long, cruise through it, so you just you know where everybody's sitting and what's going on. Just make sure everybody read what's in front of us and let's discuss it. Cause there's a lot of good information in there, I was very impressed with chapter 5. My opinion, that's all it is.
Carl, what about you? Do you have an update for us from ZBA?
No, there haven't been any meetings.
And we're gonna jump right into unfinished business. And I realized it's just sitting here after I looked at the printed version that I put Ron's comments on here twice. However, it kind of goes with both things, so we can just take care of it once. I'm thinking, which was the last, I think it was like page 70 something through the end of the packet. And essentially what his comments were the entire joint meeting packet with his comments added. And it was the easiest way to just to include it for a reference, and so everybody has available what he sent me. So that's why there was, 200 extra pages, I guess. And then I'm just gonna let Randy give a summary and then to see if any of that information that he provided to us, and then see if anybody had any thoughts or comments that he specifically said, and if not, we'll move on.
So comment on chapter 1 through 4
Or all, we can just, I think we can just do all of his, in general, all of his feedback in one, don't you think? Or should I have to have moved that? Because it's under zoning project and master plan, which are both on.
Okay. I
So-
think they're two separate issues.
Okay. Yeah, we can keep them separate.
So there was, I think, Supervisor Pop went through the first 4 chapters and had one comment. Typo, that was not correct. So that's been corrected. And chapter 5, you had emailed out to everyone a chapter 5, which looks like this. I apologize for not being able to get it into the packet, but it's just kind of tight with the holidays and everything. But so what chapter 5 represents is a summary of all the community engagement activities that has happened in the township. Actually, even going back to the 2009 survey, remember we started with that, and the full master plan process started. Attempted to summarize the key points from not only that effort, but then all the more recent surveys that the township has done, which has included the ARPA survey, the marijuana survey, and I think in any event, there is a summary there to believe that fire survey. To try to capture what the community has been saying in different ways that the township has reached out to. I know we have the report from Networks Northwest on the community survey that's was separately and posted. We also have the report from Leah on the workshop and the open house. What chapter 5 does is basically give you the overview of all the efforts that the township has embarked upon to understand how community, how residents view issues. They also really didn't have, since those 2 efforts, or 3 efforts were done separately, there really wasn't an effort to blend it together into something that you can just pick up and say, okay, chapter 5 contains all the highlights that we know the residents want. So, again, you only got this yesterday, so I got the names completely read it. And I think it was posted on the website there, so that the resident was able to pick this up as well. And I brought some hard copies here. I would hope that you take a look at this and make sure that we've captured what we heard from residents. It's a summary. People are directed to go to the original reports if you want to dig deeper into things. But for the purposes of the master plan, here's the highlights of what we understand residents to how they feel about issues. Also, there's some of the pictures and then from the events that, you know, people who weren't involved, or people a couple of years from now, if they're reading it, understand what steps were taken. So this will then lead us into the following chapters, the last 3 or 4 chapters of the master plan. Talk about specific goals for the township and action steps and implementation. So that's essentially what I have to say about chapter 5.
Did anybody get a chance to fully read it and have any comments or suggestions? Go ahead.
I did, and what I found interesting was I went back and took, this is gonna sound stupid, but I took one computer and bought up all the little post-it notes, and I just started checking them off as I was reading. Like I said, I was really impressed because it was like, I haven't missed one yet. So I thought, when I was doing the checks and balances, I was like, all right, so far so good. Now I'm not all the way through double checking everything, but it didn't miss, I don't see anything missed, but you know, there were a lot of duplicates, so you kinda gotta put stuff in context, but there wasn't anything blatantly missed, even off the post-it notes. Cause after I did the post-it notes, then I went back and read each direction from the committee.
So following up to that point there too, in the material that is posted on the township website, there's high resolution photos where you can go in and see what's actually written on every posted note. You know, the report that was combined with the text and the photos, the resolution wasn't high enough to be able to zoom in, but there's a separate file that allows you to do that, so. It's as transparent as
See, I went through all that extra work, I didn't even think to look on there, I was just checking what I had. I'll keep going, Randy, I haven't found anything that was off track.
So I put this out here for the planning commission's review. At this point, it should, I think, obviously the next chapters are coming in the following months here, so if we can continue on. But while this is more fresh in your mind, it makes sense to look at it now, and rather than 3 months from now or 4 months from now with the rest of it, so that's why I wanted to get this.
I had a chance to go through it this afternoon and I went through it one time and I didn't see anything I disagreed with. I was pretty impressed with it. And I did get a chance a few days ago to go through the high resolution file and look at all the comments. And I thought this, you know, it's pretty close to what people are thinking.
That's the goal.
Al, do you have any feedback for it? Might give you, I haven't.
I haven't had a chance to read it.
So should I put this on the February meeting agenda again as like a more final thing, or is we're
Do you
good?
want an email from us or questions, or you wanna give a date when we need to get this done by, so if they gotta do homework?
Well, there's gonna be more chapters coming here in 3 succession, so, you know, I guess,
Don't prolong it,
yeah.
get your work done.
Why are you thinking that? I mean, we could adopt it, is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm just thinking that you get this in your hands, review it,
Yeah.
if you see issues, let's put it on as an agenda item next month, and if somebody has something to bring up. Well, it's again, still fresh in your mind, if you don't see this till April.
No, you gotta do it now, because some of it's still fresh in mind if you were in some of the
Right,
workshops. But I went back to like each committee, like there are 5, you could call them findings, okay, whatever you wanna call them. And I literally tried to put all my post-it notes into what they covered, and I didn't find too many that weren't left out. So that was impressive. Because normally the context gets mixed.
that makes sense, I'm gonna have this as an agenda item next month, and if somebody says, I think we captured this thought or that thought, or it's misleading or something, the way it's stated.
Yeah,
See, I
I think,
took Michael's approach, I just read it like I was, you know, maybe a 5th or 6th grader, what was I looking at, and, well, Michael, don't laugh, it's a perfect way to make sure that you're not putting it in the wrong context, you're keeping everything simple and as presenting,
Right.
So
so.
that will also give an opportunity for like, Keith and Linda to review it too, and maybe you submit a correspondence that we could include for February meeting. Okay, so that's what we'll do.
Rachel, make sure they heard you. They're both on Zoom.
I know they are.
Just tell me to shake their head.
They are. Okay,
I just wanna make sure they can hear us and everything's kosher. Cause I am not a computer person. Just
Okay.
way out of my wheelhouse.
anything else related to the master plan? And this also includes you, Tom, if you have anything, there else is included in this, if you had anything you wanted to bring up or something, that would be your chance.
No.
No, okay,
I'm not sure that, this relates exactly to the master plan, but, in our joint meeting with the board, Ron Pop brought up that, part of Supply Road is federally funded. And, I think somebody needs to look into that just a little bit, because I believe that what we're gonna find out is this ordinance about the setback on Supply Road has got something to do with that federally funded road there. And if that's true, it seems like that should be mentioned somewhere, either in the master plan or in the zoning or somewhere, so that we know this information. For Carl, when he realized that setback was so far, but he didn't know why, that information, if we have that information, it should be somewhere so somebody could find why is that.
would that be appropriate in the master plan?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Mhm,
so.
yeah, because you're showing what's
I think,
going for grants and stuff or fixing something, you gotta know who owns it.
Bob Hall mentioned something about that initially that was designated as a sensitive wildlife area. And that was later dropped. And whether that's the reason, that sounded like what he said, that was the reason for that setback. But he said that wildlife sensitive area was taken out of our,
Like an endangered
Ordinances.
species type thing maybe, or?
something, but he said that was dropped, but the ordinance was never changed. Now, you brought up, something from Ron Powell. Yeah, that, needs to be clarified.
And I'm not certain that that's what we'll find, but it just seems like it may correlate.
Yeah, I agree that what Bob Hall said, and that's why, since the ordinance wasn't changed, we couldn't get him an exemption. Because there was no reason to, he could meet the ordinance, and he did, as a matter of fact. But as I mentioned, I think previously, maybe that should be looked at, to see if the people down there want it changed, or can we change it?
Yeah.
For some reason we can't, I don't know.
So how do we research that and where would we put it in the master plan?
I don't think that's an immediate concern.
Well, we're getting there on the master plan, so I think it is.
Well, if it was dropped, then the ordinance should be changed. If the ordinance is changed to accommodate it, now it's the federal government has dropped it, then we should put the
Wait a
ordinance
minute,
back.
wait a minute.
I've not seen it, I've not seen it with the ordinance itself, I've seen material relating to the Board of the River and setbacks and things.
So let's start at the beginning and find out an answer to the question. Let's not jump all over the block here and think we know the answer. So, Randy, do you have any idea how we find that out? Where we go to,
Well-
where do we look?
I wanna see what section of the zoning ordinance that we're talking about. I've not seen that yet, but I've not been through every word of that document. Where does it say that there's?
And Carl will probably have
It's
that.
in the chart. There's a chart that lists all the setbacks, and it's in there.
Real quick while you're looking at that, I'm just gonna say
It's,
something.
It might be a footnote at the bottom, it says, on Supply Road, it's, 120 feet.
I just real quick wanted to say that I did turn my mic right off on my computer right from this computer settings, not just on Zoom. So but there's still
Somebody's still saying they can't
two
hear.
people are still saying that there's an echo, so is it yours?
What do you want me to turn off?
I don't know. If you go to your settings and maybe your mic there, it might be your mic.
Well, you know, if we find out where federally it was applied and find out where it was actually taken off, then we could make the adjustment to follow if they took it off and we can go back.
Can you hear us in the hall?
I can hear you, Connie. I can't hear them. I hear nobody.
I can
Except
hear
for
you
you.
guys. I can't hear them.
Hey, Vaughn, can you hear us?
Same here, I can hear you.
His head came up.
Like a big echo chamber in there. It's like one microphone is picking up all the voices.
Yeah,
It's impossible to hear.
something is definitely wrong.
How
So
about
I
them
think
Lions?
they turned themselves off and us. Oh, shoot.
I don't see their mic is muted. The Whitewater Zoom one would be the master.
I'm calling Rachel.
Yeah.
She won't answer, I don't think. Randy, raise your hand if you can hear us. He can hear us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can't hear you guys at all.
We can't hear any of you. All right, I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault.
Okay, hello, can you hear us?
Now we hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us
And
now?
take extra pauses.
Yes.
Are.
All right, we're good now, I'm terribly sorry.
Yep, sorry
Go
about
back
that.
and rediscuss. What we were discussing was trying to figure out how we could figure out where on Supply Road the federal issues come in with setbacks. So we're gonna look into it.
Andy's gonna research that and then it'll go in the master plan if it exists, if we have it exists.
We're gonna start with the ZBA meeting.
I don't know that the transportation funding and the setbacks are related.
Yeah, it's like I say, it was just a thought that came to me. I don't know that it's gonna be related, but there's a possibility.
Everything's attached, so you
Yeah.
gotta put it in there if that's the way that road.
It just seems to be like, if that kind of information should be recorded somewhere
So,
for future people.
I'll put this back on the February meeting so we can circle back to it, but what do I call it? Like, what would be the wildlife sensitive area or the supply
It's a
road?
150-foot variance.
Setback on
Setback.
Setback on supply.
Yeah, just put federal in parentheses, and that might,
Okay,
okay.
I just wanna make sure it makes sense to us all on the agenda for next month. Okay, hold on a second, I don't know if it's doing this. Okay. Okay, sorry guys, okay, so anything else on master plan before we move into zoning? That was a really good thought, Mike. Hearing none, we'll move on to the zoning project. We're gonna continue the map discussion now, especially I think after the joint meeting, I think we brought up some maybe additional concerns. So I'm just gonna throw that out there as the topic and see where we go.
For cost, it looked like we was gonna have to do some verifying. I was gonna suggest we add 5,000 to our budget for the surveyor. If he has to go out and verify some specific points. And then for meetings,
Oh, we're on the zoning map.
That's.
yeah, about the distance,
He's talking about,
zoning map discussion.
You're talking about the budget, right?
no,
Well,
but
this
he's
is-
talking
this is-
about verifying, putting in the budget to fix the map,
Yeah,
to make sure the map points are correct.
Right,
Yeah.
and then you were talking about meetings, so that's where I thought we were getting off to. Budget.
yeah, and on page 86, the zoning map should be validated, certifiable, and then we could put a disclaimer on it, and there seemed to be support for that in our joint meeting as well.
So if I recall in our December 6th meeting, when we talked about it, we weren't really sure that all of that was necessary, and then we brought it up at the joint meeting. And there was still some consistency, like some unknowns. We don't know really where it was, maybe an intern created the map and things like that. So after hearing all that, where is everybody at with, how do we proceed with the map? You wanna go first, Randy?
Sure, so as it stands right now, there is a job that was given to a local surveyor. His name is Scott, I forget the name of the company that he works for. That work was started, I would say 2 months ago, to reevaluate the industrial zoning district, which there were some concerns that was not represented properly on the zoning map. I still have not heard back from his findings on that. I think the way I took my takeaway from the meeting with the town board was that if we're not gonna get closure on something like this, we should move on to somebody else, and we should also look at having all of the zoning districts evaluated by a surveyor and potentially do an RFP to get some prices from firms to make sure that the legal descriptions
Are correct.
are, well, that the map we're using and the legal descriptions are the same. because there was reason.
So-
And right now, we can believe that they're not, because we know, nobody can really figure out who did the map.
Right,
So we know, we know that's not a valid map. So I think one of the first things we need to do is validate our map, and it's easy to do. The surveyor will pick some points, or we'll pick some points. He'll get the legal description of those. That will then set the boundaries of the map, and you could put it to scale from that if you wanted to, do whatever you wanted with it. But at that point, when you said this is industrial, or this is residential, it would be actually where the industrial and where the residential actually is. Until we verify it, what we have now is unverifiable.
so I think what we need to do is get an RFP and get that going fast. Go ahead.
I have a question about that, and my question is, can a surveyor take his stuff and transfer it to a map? Cause that's what we need,
Mhm.
somebody who can take the legal description and transfer it to a piece of paper and draw the outline, and, I mean, a surveyor can do that for us, that's the right person to have doing this. Okay, that's fine. I know they can drive stakes in the ground, but.
No, he's not putting-
No, so what is, he lasers, he does all that, and he
Yeah.
writes legal.
But he'll verify the mistake.
Right, yeah, no, I get that, but I just wanna make sure it's the right person we're going after to get the job done that we want.
Right, so I think a good valid point, but so I think what we need to do and pretty rapidly here is get an RFP written, right? So that we can get that out and get this moving, or it could take a while. So,
If I could, that wouldn't take a surveyor that long. We've done a lot of like surveying pipelines and putting in facilities and wells, and all this stuff has to be, and actually it goes faster than what you think, is once you give them their scope of work, if you will, give them scope of work of what you want done. Farrier Survey is who has always done ours, that's what I'm familiar with. And, the one in Trevor Gosley, or whatever, they did them too as well, so those people, this task for something like that wouldn't take much for them to do. So,
Well, it's taken 2 months on the current surveyor to have nothing been produced.
yes, but we don't have authority to move on.
Well, I'm just saying that for whatever reason, there is a hang up on what you're trying to do, and we just, I'm concerned about the process of getting that RFP out and actually writing up a scope of services, which we want firms to give us prices on. We should send it out to 2 or 3. Or maybe,
so we would need to have an RFP for us to approve at our February meeting. And then remind me, does the board have to approve that too?
we don't have that line item in our budget, and
It's not in our budget.
I'm not sure that, I think the board would issue that RFP.
So if we get on the board, agenda would be March. Wait, how do they line up? Our February meetings,
Well-
I don't think it. Or do we
I'm
need
just-
to approve the RFP?
No, I'm just wondering whether or not the board needs to approve the RFP, they need to approve the contract, certainly they need to approve.
Well, they have to
Yeah, you
approve
need
the
to-
additional study.
They're gone.
So what's the deal?
They're missing. Rachel's computer is still in, but we lost the township, so I bet you she's gonna have to close this and do a whole nother. Oh, here they come.
Oh, okay.
They're on mute.
Okay.
And then work out from there, and like you said, I don't
Sorry,
think,
folks, it just went blank.
I think it would be, you know, probably, don't you like half a page of scope of work, I mean,
It's hopeful that the zoning descriptions don't zone properties to things, three things, because they overlap.
Right. And we very well could find that.
Yes, you could, especially where the lines are undetermined.
But we gotta find that.
but in the meantime, we gotta fix it, so, you know, we can't not do it because we might find something, we find something, just fix it.
No, exactly,
Yeah.
that's why we're doing this, to fix it.
Yep.
Yes.
And we, like you said, to think we're not going to find something different on that map, it's probably unrealistic.
Yeah.
But when we find it, we'll just put the surveyor will put the boundary where it is.
And it's broken, let's
and
fix
put-
it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about this all night long,
And
but
I would say too, Randy had a good start of scope of work there. It wouldn't take, you know, a couple paragraphs and you'd have, what we want to do is very simple to explain.
Right, so I guess my question is, what is our order of ops? Like, what requires what to make this start and getting in, rolling? I guess is what I'm not sure of.
Writing up the RFP, sending it out to 3 firms. I don't know, I asked before, what's the procurement policy in the township for this kind of thing, I don't know what that is. I don't even know exactly where we're gonna be on cost, I think several $1,000s, I would guess.
do you think 5's a good start, or do we gotta go in at 8?
I don't think-
Until we get prices
Yeah.
back, we don't.
So the first step is, I guess I'm trying to break it down even simpler. You could write the RFP, but do we as the PC need to review that at our February meeting before we can even send it to firms? Or can we decide now that we're letting you do that and we can send it out so that by February we have something back to review? Is that possible?
I had an idea if we could ask Randy to do this for us, and then we could send him some comments where there's some things we'd like to have on there, or he may not think it's
Then we
necessary.
should talk about that now,
And then what
because
we
we
could do
have to
is-
do that in the open. We would have to discuss,
Okay.
we couldn't send him comments on the side.
Okay.
Right.
You can't make decisions.
Yeah, you can't make decisions.
So what would we want on it? Maybe we can do that right now, and then does that suffice so that we don't have to wait till the February meeting to,
I just wanna check with Ron on what the procedures are for,
Okay.
we just, I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm happy to send it out and get prices back, there's no, it's like shopping, you know, you're just costing you.
Right, is there, when you ask, can you ask them for the process? So at least then we have something to look at next time and go, okay, everybody take a piece and come back to the table.
Well, I know we have Ron's support for this, because he wants to see it done as
Well,
well.
I
you know,
understand
so
that,
that's
but you still wanna ask
helpful,
them
yeah.
for the process in print, so
Yeah.
that we don't have this problem next time.
And what we need to do is
Like
just let the surveyor know what we want him to do.
So that's-
And we need to have all the surveyors give us prices on the same thing.
Yep.
so that's what we need to decide is exact, right now, we would need to decide exactly what it is we want in the RFP. So we want, and I know this is not in my terminology or vocabulary normally, but what I understand that we want is we want the legal descriptions and a map to match all of the zoning, all of the districts.
We want the current parcel layer that the Grand Traverse County has for Whitewater Township. We want a surveyor to take that map and draw the zoning district boundaries on that tax map, on that parcel map. And
According to the legal description.
According to the
legal
legal
descriptions in the zoning ordinance, as well as, and also we're supposed to apply the amendments. But all the amendments have been enacted, so they're gonna have to work through them, and there are probably a dozen or so.
Mhm.
Yep.
So we would be providing them all of the legal descriptions and the amendments, and then asking them to decipher which is,
That draws his line.
and then to draw.
Based on,
Okay.
based on,
So we would wanna be clear
And that's
in
not
that
a
how
cost,
much,
or that's not included
no, that
in
would
that.
be part of it.
Oh, that's part of it? Okay.
so we would be so they would need to clearly not understand how much they're gonna have to dig through to get to that, so they could give us an appropriate cost, right? So you would spell that out, that we have 12 amendments and I'm not sure
To be
how.
fair with them, it might make sense to put them all together, give them the ordinance and then give them all the amendments so they can see what they're pricing out.
Then you'd
Yeah,
have it in front
that's
of them.
true, so include.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trick anyone into giving them.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at, I didn't know how much information you give them, but then, yeah, they can see.
They all have the
exactly.
same thing, because
Yeah,
They need to know that we have 11 districts and we have to find out how many amendments and so they all know what they're up to.
okay. Do we need to do a consensus or a vote for that? To have Randy do that?
I would think we just do a roll call and approve it, and he does it, but you still have to, that's gonna be in all the cost of the, wouldn't it be in all your cost of the RFP too? What's in his work too, or?
no, that's just, it's not that much time for me to put that together.
Okay, I don't know, so I don't
It's all,
wanna,
in my mind, it's all part of the zoning update.
okay,
We're running
well, then
into-
there's the answer to
We're
your
running into a
question.
brick wall here.
I mean, and then technically you can hire people as in your contract, right?
It does mention subcontractors, but I'm not sure.
If that's
That's a
considered a
little
subcontractor, that's a
larger.
little reach, that might be a big reach there.
Okay, so roll call it is for Randy to write our RFP as just discussed. And send it off. You're also gonna talk with Ron about to make sure.
But it would be, ask them where the process is, we're, that way we all know next time, okay, we gotta do an RFP. Because you might not be here next time to do the RFP, so we might have to do it ourselves. So this time we're practicing, but you're basically doing the work, we need to watch. Cause if we gotta do it again, we need to know how to do it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, we'll
You're not
cross
gonna
that, let's cross that bridge. when we
Okay,
get
but you're
to
not
it.
gonna Google that, that information has to be somewhere in here already, in the times of call, their process for her. I might get it somewhere.
Well, but that's, yeah, we'll have to cross that bridge later, I think, but I agree, it would be nice to have, but I don't know that we can tackle that right now. Okay, so roll call when ready, please.
Volume,
Yes.
oh, what I put down for the motion. Did you get a, I didn't get a motion.
Oh,
I have a motion by.
I'll make a motion. I can
Two.
make a motion, I'll make a
did
motion.
you get what it was for Randy right here?
You got it?
To have Randy Melnick create the RFP as discussed.
Yes,
Second.
thank you. That keep me in line here, you guys.
Roll call vote, Volume,
Do I have one on this here? I really did, but this is just going out for the RFP, I think. So yes. It's not, we're not at a constant.
Slokesama is not available. DeYoung is not available. Robel,
Yes,
Jacobson,
Yes,
Keaton,
Yes.
and Steelman.
Yes. Okay. Correspondence and discussion about the timing to invite Laura from the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. So Tom found this in the newspaper. It's on packet pages 47 and 48. I think she'd be an excellent person to invite to a meeting. And get her take on some of the conflicts or struggles we've had. But I didn't know what the timing should be and wanted to put this out there for everybody to see.
Well, she's probably a busy lady. So I'm gonna say, maybe ask her if she could come in May.
Well, what were you gonna say, Randy?
Well,
I want it to be appropriately timed too with where we're at, so.
So two things. One, we kind of skipped over the comments about the zoning ordinance that was in the packet at the township board meeting, and the comments from the supervisor.
Want to go backwards quickly?
Well, it's actually next on the
Oh, is
agenda,
it? Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
that's okay, I mean,
No, I didn't see that. So,
but maybe I didn't put this in the right spot either, so I don't know.
so I know Laura Regan from work at Peninsula. And I know folks from the Grand Traverse Land Conservancy, Peninsula and Acme, I guess both have purchase and development rights programs where money is paid to farmers to basically put a conservation easement over their land, and they're preserve the farmland. I think that she could provide a lot of great information to us. The question is just the timing. That will certainly be something that will be addressed in the master plan. I think, having her to come to a meeting and explain briefly what services they provide would be very helpful.
So is it a sales thing
No.
or is it an information, like an education
Information,
thing?
they're,
Okay.
Educational.
they're a nonprofit.
Okay,
501c3.
And the county, or the township would subsidize the farmer right to keep that and not sell it off, is that
Well,
basically what we've got?
in Peninsula, for example, there's a village, they've approved 3 of them, where property owners have additional taxes levied on their land that pays for these conservation easements, like an olive farmer with 200 acres. And I'm interested in donating the development rights for my farm in order to keep it as agricultural. Then my development rights can be bought. And then the Grand Traverse Land Conservancy holds an easement over it, or the township holds an easement over it that prevents it from ever being developed. So the farmer was compensated for not developing the farm.
I think it would be interesting to hear what she has to say, especially with the discussions on the different lot sizes and how we keep it rural and all of that. So you think the timing sooner than later?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful in that, if I don't know whether she'd be, interested to a meeting, but when or whatever, I don't. But in fact, Peninsula had a contract with Grand Traverse Land Conservancy to administer that program, to help administer that program. Because it sounds simple, they just go buy the land, but somebody's got to put together all the documents and show what land, what's in, what's out, all the transfer of property, documenting what's on the property now. I mean, there's really a ton of work that goes into that. And Grand Traverse Land Conservancy is contracted through the township to do that work. So, and I know she's worked with Acme, and I don't know what Acme did, but I thought they got a village approved, or they have some kind of program that's similar to that operating.
Are you guys okay if I ask Tom a quick question?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Did you get the understanding that she was free and willing to come to our meeting, correct?
Yes. When I read the article, this, I think due to financial situation here, I wasn't really approaching her with the idea of getting a conservation easement program here. But given her background, I thought that she may be able to educate us as far as how does a township do zoning in order to maintain agricultural land, still used as agricultural land. And, so it's a little bit of a difference, but given her background, and she knew right away what I was referring to. She understands some of the issues here. The actual issue in Acme was that in 2004, they started this millage and this program for conservation easements. And they renewed that in 2014, but she does not expect in 2024 that it'll be renewed. Probably because whoever is going to put their land into a conservation easement would have done it in the last 20 years. So she's thinking that that's probably done, and she knows that we're not interested in that. She's indicated that controlling or preserving agricultural land is difficult to do by zoning amendments, but felt that there were other approaches that she could share with us as far as how do we accomplish keeping the rural character by keeping the agricultural land being utilized. And I asked her if she would be willing. I indicated that the meeting with her in the evening, and she sounded very generous and willing to educate us.
Okay, well then I'll aim for February or March, whatever her availability is.
Yeah, I read that article too, and I remember that our rejected the buying up the development rights. But that was quite a while ago, and I was thinking that looking at this article in our master plan in trying to preserve agricultural property, one of the things we might put in there is to look for grants to help finance any things that we would come up with. And again, this 5 acres versus 1 acre is an issue that I don't see how you preserve rural character with 1 acre lots. So you sell 40 acres and put 20 homes in it. So that is something I think to look at, possibility of grants to help with that.
Okay. All right, so I have on my to-do list to invite her, and I will reach out probably this week yet. I'll try to do it so that we can. And then I added to the, this particular article that Tom shared with us really made me start thinking about who else is in the area for education. We haven't done a whole lot of education. We've been very busy, but we have a lot of hot topics coming up. And so does anybody have any suggestions or ideas of other experts, subject matter experts in some of our hot topics, whether it's STRs or event barns or, we talk about reading things on what are other townships doing, but what about having somebody come and tell us what they did, whether we invite somebody from another township or, like this, Laura, what, does anybody know? I don't know. So who else should we be looking at down the road? And that goes for anybody, on Zoom or anything, and anybody in the community too. You can always email me if you have a suggestion or an idea. I'll reach out and see what we can make happen as long as it's relevant to our zoning updates, our hot topics, and our master plan. Did you guys come up with any or think of any since the packet?
I was trying to think who you can have come in and explain how well their short-term rentals are doing, but you'd have to find someone that has already been through the process, has the process going. And,
like a township that's already regulating it type of thing?
But I can only think of one that there are a lot of
East Bay does.
well, East Bay does, because you know more than I. So,
There was a new.
is there somebody from East Bay that could say, hey, here's the problems we had? Because I mean,
There's a gentleman that I know who works he's on the planning commission in East Bay, but he's also a professional planner who works for the MEDC. And he might be able to talk about the East Bay situation as well as the redevelopment ready communities program.
Redevelop, what is it?
With the MEDC's program that they're encouraging local governments to be certified as redevelopment ready and having certain benchmarks. We're a long way from getting there, but
Yeah, I was gonna say all that list is.
that may be something.
So I'm thinking I would maybe talk to him about like April, May, in that time frame. When, or do you wanna reach out since you're
Yeah, I
on?
can do that.
Thank you. Cause that's when we're getting a little bit closer to our zoning stuff, right?
Yes.
Well, there's a phone number right here in this article.
Yep.
Contact,
231-929-7911.
Yeah.
yes, right there, protection program. Yep.
Oh, okay.
The Farmland Protection Program, please contact, use the phone number or a email. Maybe that's this Lauren or.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite her, so that one's all set. We're now moved on to if there's any other topics or subject matter experts you can think of.
We have 3 local townships that have enacted programs, Acme, East Bay, and Peninsula. We've all done things.
So who do we know at Acme and what would be appropriate? Do we have any ideas of what they might be an expert on or help us with?
Not offhand, I have in Acme Township, I talked to the township supervisor at one time, and I talked to the planning commissioner, in East Bay Township earlier on, how to get involved in the process when we started, as far as questionnaires and things. But I guess that should start with someone there.
I think we would need a subject, a specific topic we're looking for a
I think I'd
expert on.
like to look at their master plan again to see if
They're rewrite.
what their comments are on the, I know I have read both of them earlier, but as far as farmland protection.
Well, I think
I'll
right,
look at that again.
okay, well,
Acme's in a rewrite right now too.
so, you know, as I was saying, I think we have 2 right now, which is good. If you guys think of any more, again, the public, anybody thinks of any, please email me. We'll be looking to get fairly regular experts to come help us through this big process we're doing. All right, I'm gonna move on to Pop's comments on the zoning project updates. Pass it to Andy for this, because as you know, it was the last couple hundred pages of the packet, so, go ahead.
So in the packet of the joint meeting, we provided the working draft with 20 pages or so of the zoning ordinance, so it's largely the definition, some of the organizational chapters. And I saw later that there were comments that came from Supervisor Thompson with regard to questions, comments, and I counted about 125 of them, over 20 pages. And you have them in your packet. So many of them related to existing provisions in the zoning ordinance.
Mention very
Oh,
much.
Oh, we thought you were Tom.
You know, many related to existing provisions, some are just comments that require more explanation, to understand what was said, some are just statements. I really didn't know what to do with that, and that was provided to the chair. And I became concerned that we're deviating from the approach that the planning commission took, which is we were trying to get this ordinance in workable shape so that we have something that is not confusing, not vague, not contradictory, not incomplete. And so I said I thought we should maybe take a pause here and make sure that we have understanding of what we're trying to get done. And we spent several months with the planning commission, probably about 6 altogether, I think up till now, talking about the process, how we're gonna do this. We talked about a committee, we talked about a lot of different things and arrived at what we're doing. I'm concerned that we can't get deflected with a lot of comments on the material that we're working through. First of all, it's only a working draft. We said several times, we may have to go and add definitions, we may have to change some definitions as we work our way through it. The zoning ordinance, the 5th time, is not a bunch of individual chapters, it's one document that you typically try to work through it in chunks. So I am concerned that we're spinning our wheels a bit here if we go back and try to address comments that I think we should continue going forward.
I just had one quick one. I kind of agree with Randy. The only comments I had on was page 234 to 269. We'll get to that in a minute. But what I'm thinking is we got to look back at what we've done. We've taken this work, we've looked it all over, spent a lot of time on it, a lot of reading, a lot of hours, and we've approved it. So I think we just, personally, I think we need to stand on what we approved. This is what we approved. And yeah, I guess there's 12 of us with the board, and to think that we're gonna have consensus on everything is unrealistic. But the process is the planning commission comes to agreement and we submit it to the board, and I think we should stay with it. If we've come to agreement, and it appears that we have, then I think we need to take the articles that are ready to be submitted and submit it and let the board vote on it. If they have, they may say they're gonna have some opposition, but if it passes, then we're done with that section.
So we're not, if I understand it right, we're not ready to submit anything to them. This was an update meeting to give them where we're at, so it's not all a shock at the end, correct?
This was an effort to show them the progress that we've made so far. It is not a complete document. It wasn't even the entire zoning ordinance. It's only a beginning chunk of it. You know, I guess I was somewhat shocked to see 125 comments over 20 pages. I think that takes us sideways and gets us away from the main focus, which is the basic structure of this ordinance and the way it needs to be, instead of, you know, I mean, we can just go on forever.
And we will.
We could,
And we will.
so I think that, you know, in my opinion, I think Supervisor Pop is a resident, he's a township official, he has a voice, but we have the say. And so we take his comments, we look at them, but we keep moving forward. I mean, unless it's a majority issue or problem. And so what I was gonna ask, and it goes to you guys today, is of everything you read, the 125 read comments, was there anything that you really felt needed attention right now? Or are we just good to digest it and move forward, continue moving forward as is?
The only comments I had was on 234 to 269. After hearing the board's opinions on TTCI and MPO, they were not in support of that. And after listening to the comments that they had in the dialogue, I believe I'm not in support of it either.
We're talking about the FPO.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
it's
just
260.
talking, yeah,
Well,
we're just
but
talking.
we're not discussing what was.
Well,
yeah.
it is part of it.
265.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, but right now, we're focused on his comments about the.
I need to ask Randy a question.
Okay, well, I thought you was done with that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Randy, I have a question for you. And I know you've read most of these. I've tried to read every one and look at it in a different direction. But a lot of his concerns were positives. I took some of his concerns and went back and looked. So my problem is, why didn't you come and get involved from the start? Why throw it in here now? But just my opinion.
I just skimmed the comments, quite honestly, I didn't go through.
I didn't really see anything that was mind-boggling or, I mean, this is one person. Granted, it's your supervisor, but
So we'd be looking for anything that's just,
off the wall.
that we totally missed the boat on, that's what we're looking for in his comments.
Did
And
everybody
did any
else-
of that stand out?
I
And if not, I say that we stand with what we've approved and worked on for 6-7 months and continue to work forward. And if you all agree with me, go like this, no, I'm just kidding.
Mike, what did you think? I mean, did you, cause it's almost like where your boss is telling you this, and it's like, yeah, but you're coming in the middle of the kitchen after we already got half the menu done.
Yeah, but a couple people have said this around the table already. These are his comments. We have people in the audience at times that make their comments, and we don't stop the whole vote just to address their comment. We take their comment, and if we think it's something that needs more conversation, we give it more conversation. If we don't, we don't. And in my humble opinion, I didn't see anything there that should stop us from doing what we're doing.
Thank you.
He gave us his comments. You know, for whatever you think of them, unless you see something that is like on fire, I think they were just comments and we'll move forward. We're gonna, when we approve this and move the whole thing to the board, then they're gonna have things they want us to look at or redo or reword at that point in time. Let's do that then. Right now, we're just
And
spinning
in
our
the
wheels.
meantime, our expectations from them are, you need to stay where we're going.
I almost feel that we gave them a little bit too much information. Not the whole board, just Ron.
Michael, when I sat down and started to read his things, I was like, ooh, he has way too much.
Yeah,
Except for, I would say, we did what we set out we were gonna do. We were gonna have joint meetings periodically to keep them abreast of the progress and what we've been working on, and that's what we did. And he took the time to read it. He took the time to dissect it, so we gotta give him props for that, you know? We've been asking him to read our stuff, and he did it. So, I mean,
I think wish that he would have been standing there writing his comments on post-it notes. Some of his
well, we
issues
can
could have been
digress on what we wished all day long. I think that we've made a consensus that we took his comments for what they are and we're moving forward as we have been. Do you agree, Carl? You're the only one I haven't heard.
Yeah, I was amazed the amount of work he put into that, but keep in mind, he comes from the background of, there's just so much detail you get into and all of the work that the township does, and he's just picking things out. And I didn't see any, there might have been one or two items that he thought we ought to rework, but most of them, I didn't really see any kind of a job stopper or some just comments or that maybe, you know, wanted a little clarification or something that I took it as actually very favorable on his part, going through the whole thing. So I would have to go back through it again and see if there was anything that looked like you really thought we ought to relook at. I don't recall anything that popped up at the time. I read it twice.
I feel like you'd remember if it was on fire, to use Mike's words, so I'm gonna go with, well, that's a consensus to move forward. Did you have any follow-up to that before we move on?
I just wanna convey a sense of urgency and importance to this here. I mean, we can spin our wheels for the next 25 years. I mean, there is no such thing as a perfect zoning ordinance that everyone wants. You just don't get that. It never happens. You know, so
We just need one that makes sense.
we just need one that makes
It's usable.
It's kind of like, you know, having a wet car and worrying what kind of polish we're gonna put on it, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna wax it before we fix the dent.
And it's total, you know?
Right.
So,
That's why you have the CBA.
well, hopefully we cut down on the work the ZBA's had by having a better ordinance, you know.
Right. Okay. Anything else related to the zoning project?
So I will keep going with that understanding that we are moving forward, and we'll circle back to a comment or two, but we we can't get stuck into 125 comments or 20 pages, no, I'll never get done.
So should we give us maybe a quick, what should we expect in the next couple, 3 months or
We'll
whatever?
expect another chunk of zoning work, and we'll have, more chapters, put it in the best order I can find, working through the amendments. I mean, there was a lot of work to get the amendments in a form that you can use. What you got as far as books was not complete.
Right.
It just like, I mean, so, again, it's. The
I
shared
just hope
piece
we
of
got
glass
them all.
here.
I just hope we got them all.
Well, we're gonna do the best we can, and when we get to the end, we hopefully get that approved, and we can just start fresh from there, and that's the whole goal.
The districts are, it's the other part of this equation, which is kind of slowing the whole process down because we don't
have a map.
have that.
So we're gonna hopefully start rectifying that with our RFP and. Good. Anything else from anyone else on the zoning project before we move on to new business? Okay. New business, so we have our resolution for our 24-25 meeting dates. Lois kindly got this ready for us. I know last year we changed that July 3rd, that July 4th week meeting to the next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that again.
But before we do that, we also had a pretty lengthy discussion this summer about changing the meetings completely so that we hit the township board meetings timing differently for their packets. And I did a whole bunch of calendars and tried to map it out, and I didn't see how it really ever would be that much more beneficial. But if you guys see that, you're more than welcome, we can change them all, we can do whatever.
I think we've already talked about that, and we come back to what we had was about as good as any, occasionally like on January 3rd or July 3rd, maybe we may wanna change that because of the 4th of July, but, we may not, too, it's up to what everybody wants, but I thought we did that the first Wednesday of each month. Cause it was no magic date, I think you've already looked at and talked to Ron, there was no magic date that's going to fall into that agenda, it just wasn't gonna work.
It wasn't perfect, no matter what, and so
Yeah.
the best scenario we came up with is a standing agenda item, essentially, it's just.
That's the only way you're gonna do it, unless you go past them, you'd have to meet after them.
Yeah, and then you still have, so as the chair and the work that's involved to then prep stuff, that gives you a very short window after our meeting to get things to them regardless. So it was almost, it puts a lot of pressure on the chair, and we know I'm not gonna be chair forever. So I personally don't, being a chair, I don't see a whole lot of benefit to doing it. And this is what we're used to and the public's used to, and we know the hall's available, but I am not opposed to changing it either. So I'm not trying to talk you out of it, I'm just trying to explain
I
it.
would say leave it like it is, and
Michael, when does hunting season really start with like the beginning of bow and arrow and all that stuff?
October 1 to January 1 is deer hunting season. Small game hunting season opens earlier than that and goes later than that, but mostly when you got guys complaining about deer hunting season, or about hunting season, it's deer hunting season they're talking about.
So,
November
But it's
15th.
dark too, by the time we.
Yeah, but into November, by the time you're in November, it's dark by the time we meet, you'd have to be pretty far out in the woods to miss,
okay, so it's a moot point even looking at hunting.
pretty much, yeah.
We will have to push that July 3rd because.
So what is the week, what is the Wednesday after that? And
It won't be 10.
10, and do we
July
know, is the hall open that day, or is that fall on somebody else's?
That's not a regular meeting.
It's not.
For anything.
No. I looked at that.
And if it gets on the calendar, then the
It's-
board of review,
Couldn't post it.
yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to, okay, and when's the holiday in September, when's Labor Day?
You can take it before that.
It's September 1 or 2 of this year. Oh, that's true.
You're gonna wanna push that out a week because you're gonna have a hard time getting a quorum if anybody goes away for the holiday.
School start.
Yep,
So,
I think that's September 11th. I mean, it's up to you guys, I'm just looking at this thinking out of the box, because we don't know who'll be sitting here. So. Any other holidays?
September 2nd is Labor Day, so we could move that one to September 11th.
Yep.
I don't think there's any others.
October
that need to
doesn't
be
need it,
changed.
November doesn't, December doesn't. You already moved January. Wednesday's not effective, there's nothing in March, so. Anybody else think of anything that we might be affecting?
So moving September to the 11th?
Yep. I mean, don't you think? Cause if you take that week off as vacation. For the extra day, I'm just trying to think how long.
Well, it's not gonna affect my vacation, cause I'm taking no vacation.
I understand that, Michael, but we still have to look at it, what if? Plus you have, do you want people to pay attention? How far are we gonna be with the master plan by then? You might be pretty close to the end. So we wanna make sure we still have the appropriate of people. I don't see any other ones, do you, Ray? Nope. Oh, this is such a nice resolution.
That's okay, we can still adopt it, right? Yeah, even though we changed it, yeah.
And I just wanna, ask a quick question, is this a typo, behind January, is that Tuesday supposed to be Wednesday? It says second
Yeah.
Tuesday. It's supposed to be second Wednesday, right?
Well, it says they moved the
Yeah,
date,
you're right.
second Tuesday due to January 1st
That would
holiday.
be second.
Yeah, but
It would
supposed to
be
be
the
Wednesday.
second
Good
Wednesday,
point, good catch.
so if the holiday is Tuesday, that would be the
That's
ninth.
okay, because I just, in my handwritten stuff, I wrote Tuesday and all the rest of changes.
Oh, no, see? See what happens? Okay, so January 8th would be January 9th, correct?
It's 26, how did it go?
No, January,
If Tuesday's the 1st,
It's, the 8th is Wednesday.
okay. So the 8th is right.
Wait, or am I at 24? Hold on. No, yeah. Yep, 8th is
Yeah,
Wednesday.
it's,
That's right, the date's right, the day is right. Okay.
What
So
page
what-
are you on?
Carl, we're talking about.
49.
49.
Oops.
All right, so I will make a motion to adopt the foregoing resolution. Who will second?
I will.
With the changes made.
Right.
and I will get that all
Fixed and pretty.
and you can sign it tonight, I'll just write it on correctly. Roll call, DeYoung is not available, Jacobson,
Yes.
Keaton,
Yes.
Slopsama is not available, Steelman,
Yes.
Robel,
Yes.
Feldman.
Yes.
Bylaws. So this is the month that we update the bylaws, if we have any, and then once we decide on what we wanna update, then it gets sent to the attorney, right, Randy? And so what we talked about last time was.
Is yellow.
Yeah, we talked about selection and tenure and changing that to April, so it aligned with the beginning of the fiscal year. We all agreed on it, I'm just reviewing it because this will be the copy, we'll update this copy and get it sent to the attorney, so. We do that once instead of twice. And then these are my updates and changes that I'm aware of. Order of business, which is number 9. Propose adding the terminology to this that says, in order to avoid unscheduled debates, the BC generally will not comment or respond to public comment. Silence or non-response from the PC should not be interpreted as disinterest. Lois shared that with me and I thought it was really kind, like it's nice, because it does seem kind of rude that we also look at people staring at them and don't give them any reaction, and it kind of explains why we do that.
So you wanna add that to number,
Make it 9(5)(f), but essentially under public comment, we would just add F.
what page are you on? 8 of 9.
This is
Oh,
50.
50 and then individual pages.
Yeah,
Eight
it's
of
on
9,
page 50.
which would be F and. Scan that again, what you wanna say, or are you gonna give me a corrected copy? So I only got half of it written down.
Oh, it's in the packet, it's right
Page
on
On page 50, what it says on page 50.
Okay,
the page right before it.
that's what I was looking at, so you read it, and I'm like, why isn't it highlighted on here, cause it's not in here.
And that was the only two things I had noted to update.
Well, there are times that we do respond to public comment. This sounds like
Yeah, we're
we're
never
never going to ever again.
Right.
No, it says generally, so it
Generally.
means as a rule, no, but it doesn't say that
That we,
that we
That you
can't.
won't,
As long as we
you
leave
won't.
generally in there, I think that covers it.
okay,
Would you
Good.
agree, Mike?
yep, no,
Okay.
I mean, we worked on these pretty extensively last spring and early summer, and so I didn't have anything to discuss, so I'll need to update now, but Carl, did you?
I know, it's great, you know, we aren't there to listen to the consumer, we don't wanna debate it and comment, that's to be done in, other parts of the meeting. But you could just get to it. Through this debate, you wanna understand the point of view, and maybe make a clarification comment,
And just in the interest of transparency is why I question that.
Yeah.
I think us interacting with the public when they do come forward
It's a good thing.
is a good thing because it helps make us transparent. And that's all I was concerned about.
And generally, it's a broad term.
Yeah, no,
Generally, it's a
I-
broad term, but I get where you're going with it, is generally, in your opinion, is the word generally okay, or you wanna change that?
No, that works. I was kind of like reading over that in my analysis there.
Is it simply enough written so that everyone can interpret it and not misinterpret it?
I think so.
That was good.
So, anything else before we ask if Randy's going to fix those couple typos and send it to the attorney for us? I feel bad, like you have the longest list of anybody to do this.
I'm not sure if it needs to go to.
Oh, you don't think so?
Well, I guess,
I thought we had to, and again, we
I
updated
don't
them.
think we have to, but we just need to.
Do you want me to ask him?
No.
Okay.
I can tell you that your verbiage is directly out of the board's public comment.
Then let's adopt those couple
Yeah,
changes and,
Yeah.
Be done with it.
okay,
No,
let's do
we
that.
do need to provide the town board with a copy.
Yeah.
Of those bylaws, that's all I think we have.
So I can put that in, that once you update, I don't think I have a Word version, I only have the PDF. If you would update those couple things, I can give you my copy.
Yeah, if you would.
And then, it's just like 2 words here and add a sentence there, so, and then I'll get it in the February board meeting packet. As an FYI,
Yeah, it's not to be approved.
yeah, it's just, I'll put in the memo with the, this is
Notification,
just
yeah.
notification, yeah. Per our bylaw, we notify them, so. Okay, I'll give you these, will you pass these down to him with this corrections? That was in that, and then it's just, yeah, it's right here, it's just 2 January's changed to April, that's all there is. Thank you. Okay, so we probably need to make a motion and roll call on the changes, so. motion to update the bylaws. You have to be.
Accept the changes.
Just do the change. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Roll call when ready.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Keaton,
Yes.
Spokesman is not available. Steelman,
Yes.
Robo,
Yes.
Bummer,
Yeah.
Dion is not available.
So quick question, do we have work going on with the annual report?
No. To do for the,
That's Bob's job, says right here.
but we talked about we were gonna help with the synopsis, okay, so, but that's a really good point. Isn't it due at the, is it due at the end of the year?
Gotta do it at the end of
The March meeting?
It's good with the March meeting, isn't it? The fiscal year, not
I
the,
forgot, I think we talked
Is it
about.
already?
well, it says annual.
Let me just see when the last one was turned in.
I feel like it was the middle of March or April, I think March.
As a
was
zoning
the end of the
administrator
fiscal
shall
year.
carry out all responsibilities associated with an employment contract or job description of an employee. Such responsibilities should include assisting with the development of the PC annual report, preparation of any legal notices required, and preparation of materials needed to support development related to PC action items.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask Bob to send us his pieces, cause he does put together like a pie graph of the information and things that have come in, and he'll give us some information. I'll ask him to give us to that before our February meeting, and I'll put on the agenda for February that we look at what he's given us and decide what we want to add as a group. And then I will bundle it up and get it in the March.
Can we include last year's, so we can see if we've done better, done worse, or whatever?
Oh, we could pull it up in our,
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
pretty, it was pretty
I know
simplistic
it
last
is
year.
simple, but I'm just saying, this is what we did last year, so now let's make it a little pretty for this year, in other words, because we.
It would have been in our packet and stuff like that if you wanna look at it, but it wasn't much to get excited over. It
Well,
won't
I
be,
know,
it won't
but
be hard to do better.
Well, I'm just trying to say, here's, cause you always wanna show things in threes, so that we would have 2 years, or we could show 3 years of the annual reports to show, we were here, now we're here, now we're here. That's what the report's supposed to show. You don't wanna see all that information, or no?
Well, you can see it,
Well, they
it's
can
in
look
our
back
packet,
at it if they.
Well, I know we can look back at it.
but you want me to include it in our packet.
Please, because then it's all in front of you when you're sitting looking at it. I mean, I don't think the other one a year before was that impressive either. And maybe this time the third one.
Well, how about I'll find last year's, you find the year before's if you want to include it. Because I know.
Oh, you're gonna find 20, you're gonna put 22 in there, I'll find 21. Like chart, so you can see like how well we've done.
Okay. Thank you, Randy, I forgot about that, that was supposed to be on this agenda.
I
Sorry,
think we're okay.
not gonna forget, right? I make a note to include 20. Okay. Alright. I think we'll move on to the budget, which is a little bit more in depth, because I do need to get this into the February board packet, so we really need to get through this. this is tricky, I mean, I tried to put in, so this is packet page 60. And I tried to put in like a chart to help us kind of determine what kind of meetings we thought we might have. I don't know how to guess, like
Well,
what hearing.
we know we're gonna have the 12, and we're gonna have some special meetings, I'm sure, with this, so how about if we had like 12 of the regulars and 6 of the specials? And then if we had that in our budget, I think 6 specials would probably be more than what we do, but they're in there, so we don't have to go back and say, well, we can't do it because we're 1 meeting short, so if we go 12 and 6, you're covered.
What do you think, Randy? You think that's,
Would that include the joint too? Like 6 would include
No,
special
it wouldn't be the
joint?
joint, because we don't know if we're gonna have,
we don't have
Joint
to have
meetings.
that.
2.
Yeah,
We're
two.
probably expecting we had budgeted for 1 more this fiscal year.
Okay, so we're looking at 3 in the fiscal year, you think, or 4? 3?
I would say 3 to be safe, because if we're still, especially if we're getting to the end of these things and we need to help them understand all the information and materials we're giving them so that they will approve it, it might be. Yes?
Or do you just wanna go with a joint meeting every quarter? Instead of when you think you're ready to meet with them? That way they would.
I think we should wait till we have a good reason to meet, rather than schedule until, wait till we get the information ready, and then.
Well, I get that, but this is a plan, so we
That's
can
right.
eliminate what we want in the plan or put in the plan. Cause right now, you got a budget for it,
Mhm.
and they're either gonna accept the budget or they're gonna pick it apart. So if you go quarterly, now that we've had these joint meetings and they're expected to meet with us and have communication, do we schedule one every quarter to be on the safe side, because we're getting so close to the end?
I think what you mean is plan for
Right,
up to
plan.
quarterly, but not
Right.
schedule them.
Plan for it, budget for it, but then it doesn't happen because it was hard to get the last
Exactly,
Right.
that's what I'm saying,
So
but
four
at least it's in the plan.
one. What would be cool, you put that as the rationale for that, the number, whatever you put in there.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you next, is what am I gonna use as the rationale to?
Our goal is to have quarterly meetings with the town board, so that there's a lot coming their way.
Help them prepare for what's coming their way.
Give them an opportunity to ask us questions and.
Yes. We listed as a goal, I mean, I guess, but if it's a goal, then you have a budget for it.
Right. And then we said 6 special PC meetings, what would be our goal or justification for that?
Well, we know we've got a lot of work to wrap this, master plan up. There's a high possibility that's gonna cause us some more time. As we go into the zoning ordinance, that possibility could happen too.
I see the zoning ordinance dragging out much longer, this way. I mean, this mapping issue alone is gonna be.
The mapping issue alone is gonna set us back 60 to 90 days.
So.
And I wish it wasn't that long.
So one thing, so how we could word that is something to do with the map, we expect the map. Yeah,
One of the goals is making sure that the zoning map and
Zoning ordinances.
ordinances match up, and it's gonna take a while to make that happen.
Because if there are conflicts, then dealing with those conflicts is not gonna be easy.
No.
Property potentially zoned 2 different ways. I mean, I don't know what approach.
We don't know what we're gonna find, but
okay.
I'm sure it's gonna be interesting.
What about, I don't think you can really predict public hearings, but the reason I put that on here under
There's still
meetings
costs in it.
is exactly, it's the publication and the costs in that, but I don't know that we can predict that. We know we have a couple with coming with the zoning and the master plan.
So would you
What would what's a
4?
4 public hearings a year.
But if you have new development coming
Or,
Well, there's notification requirements, did that come out of the planning commission's budget or?
Yeah, I think
in,
so.
yeah, I think it does.
Publishing,
Publishing comes out of our budget.
So those are not cheap.
so you should go high, not low.
Yeah,
So you
go
should-
high, cause you
go
don't
at
have
6.
control. Go
You
6.
could include a note there, saying there's no way, we don't control this, very.
Right. we just know that we will have
Or just, you know
additional
what?
than abnormally, or additionals due to
Why
the
don't
master
you
plan
put,
zone.
why don't you put 6 to 8, unable to determine?
Well, I mean, I'll just put 6, because I think
It's
that would,
an unknown.
yeah,
Just
and then I'll just
plain
put a
simple
note
unknown.
But really with that, I'm not gonna give them necessarily a number, like the meetings, I'm gonna tell them how many regular meetings, how many special PC meetings and how many joint. But the reason for the public hearings is to calculate what that typically costs. I won't necessarily need to give them a number, I need to give them a cost for that one. So I don't know how to calculate
What
Well,
we
it'd
have
be
now.
the cost of the mail or the notification, right? Because the meeting is gonna, we're not gonna have a special meeting to have a public hearing. Public hearings are held during a regular meeting. But it's the cost of the
that. Do
publication
you know what it
to
costs?
notify.
Like 200 a pop, probably. I feel like Cheryl told me this one time, for just the newspaper or something.
The newspaper is outrageous.
It is, it's pricey.
It's like
But then,
2 something.
when an applicant applies for a special use permit or whatever,
They pay most of
they
those
pay,
expenses.
so does that money go towards the planning? commission? Do we get credit for that, or is that somehow?
Well, that kind of makes you wonder if we even have to budget it then, because if the
Well-
money's coming in to pay for it in another
Well, I mean,
entity.
the township shouldn't absorb all the costs of that, you should at least be covering the costs on.
You would think.
You would think, but I don't think it does.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a list of questions and I'll call
So
Cheryl.
the township will pay, obviously will pay for our meetings, and if they get money to come in, I'd imagine Cheryl will just put that in the.
I think we need
But the town
clarification
cover
on
it,
what
so-
public hearing costs.
Cause we're not gonna wait for some, for the money to come in and then have a meeting.
Right.
With applications, we should have those $500 a month. Cover notifications.
So maybe their fees don't come out of ours because it's going somewhere else, cause I don't ever see additions to ours.
Yeah, I don't ever see any.
That must not be how it works, so. But I will
So
clarify.
our
that.
publishing right now is,
And we have spent very little of the 3,000 we were given.
and you only did 1275 before.
So 268 must be about the newspaper costs. So I put on your desk an updated budget sheet that Cheryl just shared. But really, there's not much change to what's in the packet. It was only a computer that was purchased. But anyway, the publication, or publishing, we spent 268, so I'm guessing that's roughly what it costs per. If we're estimating 3 times 3. I put 2,000 there just to be safe under publishing,
Well, you had 3.
but we didn't.
We didn't come close to using
We
it.
didn't, we
But
spent
how many public
260.
hearings? did we
This
have?
will be different though, because we're gonna have these special meetings, for the master plan. For the public comment.
And if we're changing some zoning stuff, we'll have those be,
So we leave that one at 3,
yeah, I think that's smart.
I think we have to.
then I'm not gonna have us touch 702 through 716. Salaries, wages, social security, and Medicare, because that's really just a math calculation based on the number of meetings that we figured out, and I will get that from Cheryl, those exact kind of numbers. So we'll go down to office supplies. This year we had 2,000. And we've blown that.
We blew that out of the water.
And that's what that was all the mailings for the survey, the envelopes, all of that. We don't expect to have that next year.
Well, you skipped the postage, that postage has its own entity. Supplies and expense, printing, that would be your printing and everything. Oh no, printing's in 902. So you're gonna have to, when you look at an expense, you're gonna have to break it down. Because,
What was that you said earlier about that last, what was that last one you was on, Rachel?
So I'm on 727 office supplies.
Yeah.
That was the envelopes
Okay,
and paper
Okay.
essentially, not printing, not postage, just the envelopes and paper.
for mail
And then was that your wages too for the?
Randy, do you foresee any mailings that we would have with that master plan or?
Similar to the letter that you got,
Okay, that'd be about it.
that's really about it, because people would be
that's,
able to download it.
You know, but it also included a computer. That's why it's so high. It included the purchase of so that would include computers, so who doesn't have a computer that will be wanting a township computer, because we want to account for that.
you're not
I think
up for it,
everybody-
Michael?
What am I gonna use it for?
Read.
A
No.
bookend.
I just thought I'd ask.
No.
Okay, so I think everybody you don't want one now?
I've got one.
Oh, well then everybody will have had one, and if you really want one, you can have this one, Riley.
Yeah, no, I can't read all of them, it hurts my eyes, and then I get a headache, and then, not very nice to be around.
Toasted.
Okay, so that's why that's so high.
Yeah, cause that's your office supply.
That's the computer is what made that so high, so it's, if we're not gonna have mailings, I don't know that we need 2,000.
You do it back there, you could-
I'm not, and I'm
Do you
looking at
have one,
do you have one
that he
the one Cheryl just sent,
Oh.
And I-
Okay, okay.
that's okay.
So,
Just make sure you have one.
all this office supply, paper and printing, is that including all of this paper and these books? Too, I mean, is that, we're not gonna have this next year.
Right. It should, but I don't.
Well, we probably will, because we'll have a brand new master plan. So, you know,
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
we
good
were
point.
charged for that because we did have to buy the books,
yeah,
I mean, it was all costs.
that'd be
So,
expensive,
but I'm
that's a
gonna
lot
say
of
that's
printing.
either in, I'm gonna say that's either in. We bought two, do we buy one computer or two?
This year?
Yeah. Sad is, I'm gonna say we bought one. So I'm gonna say a lot of that printing, cause it says 2,500, 25, see, you could put it under office supplies too, so. I don't know where Ron put it, I guess we should ask Ron where he put the books.
Well, I don't think we need to get that specific. I think we need to give them some fair numbers.
sounds we got it covered in one of the
Yeah.
categories.
Because they can move around, these categories can move around, so. And I think it would be nice to show less where we can, I mean, and I mean, of course, we want to be safe and efficient, but.
Right.
Well, we wanna
Well, I
be
think-
fiscally responsible as we
Right.
can.
You know, I think it's easier if we're to have a little extra so that you don't have to go back and ask for additional funds if you have it in there, so.
Like,
But remember, office supplies, postage and printing, total there, we have 7,500.
Mhm.
I don't think we're gonna have 7,500 for those three items.
I don't know, we've got with the master plan, we don't know what's gonna be involved in
But
printing.
you're not mailing the master plan.
No, you're not mailing that, but we're going to be,
You gotta do
Probably
a public
printing
hearing
copies
on
of
it, you gotta have it open
and we
and
have to
viewed
have
for
it for
how
public
long?
comment or public, so they can view it.
Well, what if we did 2,000, 2,000, and 2,000 on those three line items, and that's a total of 6,000 instead of 7,500?
Well, here's a dumb question, how are you notifying the public since some of our public is not computer friendly and uses flip phones, it doesn't use the internet or have the internet? So how are you notifying that now is the time to come in and read the plan? Are you gonna put it a blurb in?
It was in the December 1st.
Understand that. But I'm just saying, how are you gonna, besides having the newsletter, are you gonna send them a little one note somehow, somewhere else, or do a sign thing again, now's the time to come in and do the. I think you got more people interested in signage than you did send them a note in a newspaper or the newsletter. Cause I'm gonna say more people saw the signs when they turned corners now, oh, what's this, what's this, so how are you gonna notify them to come in here and look at it? Because you have a big part of your population that doesn't do the computer game.
I think a monthly newsletter would do it, wouldn't it?
Our monthly newsletter is quarterly.
Or quarterly?
Go ahead, Randy. You're asking.
I'm just gonna say that we'll likely have a number of printed copies around between the township hall, the library, the post office, and the other venue we can think of, the people can actually go, and then of course they can read online too. I know
Right.
not everyone wants to do that, but that's why the printing costs are gonna be a little bit more substantial.
Well, that's why I'm saying you wanna take some cost away, but you have these expenses coming. So.
Okay, but we printed a lot, we spent 828. So, I mean, I'm inclined to just say 2, 2, and 2 for the 3 of them, knowing that they can move around within among each other too. It's 2,000 for office supplies, 727, 2,000 for postage, which I think will be way high, and 2,000 for printing. Right now, we have 7,500 between the 3, and that'll be 6,000 between the 3. Is that fair, or you think we should leave it as what we have this year? We didn't spend it.
We didn't spend it, but if we have it in our budget, we need to move it from one category to another, we would have the extra $1,500 to do that, right? Move it, we can move it. If we go over budget, we have to go to the board, but if we want to move numbers within their categories to another category, you have authority to do that, I believe, right?
The Cheryl will just do that.
Yeah,
as
so I mean, we could leave it in there because we could use it for professional services.
How am I
or
gonna
we need.
justify that I just wanna have a cushion? Like, I can't just, I have to tell them why I think I need
Then
this.
go with 2, 2, and 2, and
I mean, that way I
there's
feel
no
like it's,
contingency in this budget, so you don't really have a buffer anywhere if you have to go there to get it, so you're either locking yourself in at 6 and hope you come through at 6.
My concern is the printing budget.
That's my concern, because
And
printing
we
is
don't-
expensive.
Rachel, that's the thing, we can base on it, but we've got the master plan to do and zoning ordinances, and we're kind of just really getting started, so.
We also have some larger format printing costs, more than likely, if we're putting out a new zoning map, it's in 24x36.
And you get all those costs
Yeah,
too.
right, that's.
So do we need to up the printing because of the mappage?
but why don't we
Because
do
where are you
this?
gonna put that 5,000?
Why don't we do 3,000 under printing? 2,000 under office supplies, and 2,000 under postage. That's 7.
I can go with that,
Is that okay?
yeah, I think that works.
You don't think we're shortening ourselves?
It's
on
500
mapping
less
or
than what
maybe?
we have right now.
And we didn't spend that, right?
Yeah, but we still got mapping costs, where are you gonna put that? Software support?
Well, no, that's gonna come under professional services, wouldn't it?
Well, the printing of the map probably wouldn't go.
No, printing it out of the map. Master plan. I'm putting
Is there a
my justification for higher
cost you could
printing.
maybe use for printing of that?
I think 3,000 would be, wouldn't be.
On top of the 2 or
No.
3 at the?
3 for line item, I go to.
902.
I just wouldn't go any less than 2,500, 3 gives you a little room there to. I said there'll be some large format printing, to do. Both, likely for the master plan as well, it'll be a future land use map that. We haven't talked about this yet, but a summary of the document at the 24/36 is often nice to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Well, I'm gonna add that in my justification. I think that's important, and why am I, anytime I'm asking for more, I think I for sure need to, although I'm decreasing the postage of it, to put that down to 2,000.
And remember that postage is going up. Why
And
not?
then I decreased office, or it's office supplies, I kept the same at 2,000. Now I'm gonna wait for professional services last and do these other little ones first here. So dues, 250, I don't think we've ever spent them. I don't really know what they're for, should we just put 0 there
I think you should find out what it is.
What? Yeah.
and?
Never,
Well, we've
listen,
talked about it, it
well,
was supposed
hold
to
on.
like,
Get it, what is it supposed to be like, if you wanna get a magazine or something, magazine subscriptions, or that would be a membership? Or you wanna join a certain club out there, I don't know. But why was the 250, I don't wanna remove something, cause I don't know why it was put there.
well, when I asked before, there wasn't, they didn't know really what it would be.
Sounds like we don't use it, we don't even know what it's for, so let's
Have
get
you ever
rid
heard
of
of
We haven't used it
No,
this year,
I
but
guess one thought would be to join the National Association of Planning as a planning commission. And that would then get you the magazine and also reduce conference costs. You know, for example, the planning conference was here at Traverse City this year. Next year.
join Michigan Association of Planning.
Okay.
Do you know what that
I
costs
don't
to
know
join
what
as
that
a
is for a
whole?
planning commission to join, but then that gets you the magazine and also gets on the list serve. I can find that out for you. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't-
so maybe that dollar amount should be whatever that membership is, and that's the justification. saying we
Right,
want to
that's what I
join
was
that
thinking.
as a whole, not each individual person, right, it's the
Right.
planning commission.
Right, you would give them your names and you would get mailed the newsletter and monthly
And what
magazine.
did you call it, the Michigan?
Michigan Association of Planning.
Okay. I need that pretty quick, cause I have to get.
I'm gonna see if I can find it right now.
Okay, and then, so we'll leave that one for whatever that cost is. Software,
Corporate membership is $750.
Corporate?
Yep, all
That
corporate.
would be a consultant firm. Is there a planning commission membership?
On corporate membership, you get the maps.
he hasn't been on since I called.
Bob was long gone. I tried to see if he had comments and he didn't unmute himself.
Okay, while you guys look that up, I'm gonna move to the rest
The
of us
group
to talk.
participation fee is.
I'm gonna actually run to the restroom.
$425.
That's great, I will get that paper printed.
For everyone on Zoom, we're just taking a bathroom break. American Planning Association, introductory rate for new members, $70.
Do you do anything?
Yeah.
Did you get your?
I had a great season, I was in during most of the season, but I couldn't get it.
And then you need to come to my house and sit on my beer line, which is.
You go behind your house?
I hung back there some, I hung all over,
Did you ever get to go up into the orchards now, or they got them all finished up?
they got them all fenced in, so we, a few years ago, my grandsons were doing a youth hunt. One of my grandsons, I got a elevated blind in the back corner of my
Yeah.
property, and we look right into the fence of Elkwood. My grandson watched an 8-point
Oh.
run there all morning, he's like, I didn't shoot it, Grandpa, because it was in the fence. I'm like, remember I told you, they got the fence up to keep the deer out, it's okay to shoot the deer in the fence.
Who owns it now?
They'll quit somewhere.
Do they? Really? At Huey?
Yeah.
Really?
They got all the farmland up there.
Wow.
Wally kept all the view property, well, he sold off now, Well, they can build a view property overlooking Crown Lake.
Yeah.
And developments, they've had the orchard for a long time.
Wow, I didn't know.
It looks like the dues are $10
Okay,
For
so
a planning commission,
for a planning commission member.
remember, but, okay, well, we'll circle back to that. I'm gonna, while you guys research it, I don't need it this minute, really. Software, 160, we have not used it last year or this year, software support. But I'm guessing that's, everybody has a computer now, and if you need an update of antivirus or Word or Adobe or something like that, I think that that would be important to have.
something in the budget.
Something, yeah. So I could leave it the same, although I think that's really low for any kind of software, but I don't know.
$160, what's that gonna buy?
Right, I don't even know what like Adobe costs or any of that kind of stuff, but I don't, maybe the computers come with them on it.
Well,
What
look how
about?
look how Linda's bill was on there, Adobe was on there, it was on that her computer.
Oh, it was, so she already has it loaded, so it
I think
came in
so.
with the whole, so maybe it's not necessary. I don't know.
There was an additional cost though onto the computer. I don't have that in front of me.
We
That would
must,
have been in the township board.
we must have somewhere available here too, some, where they can load it from here on it.
Right,
No,
No.
I know they don't. She's right.
well, let's just leave it the same. We can, if you guys are okay with that. Or do you think we should, I don't know, I don't know how I would justify it, because I don't know what the cost of things are, but leaving it the same is probably a pretty good agreement with them, they can always remove it if they feel necessary.
Well, it's interesting, software support mileage report, we haven't used that.
Right. I don't think we need mileage reimbursement, nobody's ever done it, and I don't know why you would need it, but, well, how
A
about
field trip, that's the only time.
do we just leave it, or do we lump it with software?
$725,
$725.
that gives up to 12 memberships.
Oh, that would cover board and
Comes
PC.
with it.
Yeah.
There's, list of benefits.
Nice benefits.
Can you email me that link with,
Sure.
or something of that, that I'll include that, some of that?
So now, do we split the cost with the board?
Well,
Or
it's
do
up
we-
to them if they wanna
it's a
be,
present form.
Yeah, they might not.
they might not even care, or might already be. I say we just talk about ourselves and let them.
Okay, sounds good to me.
If they wanna put it on our budget, I don't care, okay. Alright, back to mileage, hasn't been used, 250 was budgeted. Leave it, remove it, add it somewhere else, what's your thoughts?
What scenario would we use it?
Field trip.
I think if you went to a training or
Yeah,
something, you
like-
could request
Yeah.
reimbursement.
Yeah,
If you went to a training and you felt it was a long ways, you wanted to get some mileage out of it.
I'll leave it in there in case somebody does decide they wanna claim it, it's there, it's justifiable, you know.
Okay, is that good with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Education and training 2,000, so that would probably cover like your citizens planner, which I think is about 350, which is also what we've spent this year. I know we're gonna have, at least one new person this coming year. When I depart, so they would need that.
I'm taking my next week, so.
Is it-
Said it then, I feel like saying.
So like, feels like maybe 1,000 to me sounds, or that would cover at least 2 citizens planners.
Is it 350 or 250?
It's 3, I think it's 350, because that's also what shows that we've spent.
Right.
I could do 3 times 350, I guess that would work, 6, 900, 1,050. And we can justify it as 3 potential citizens planners. Or
Okay,
some
but that,
portion.
right, that, but any other kind of educational and training, like if you were gonna ask someone to come in here and give a presentation, sometimes they have a fee, you sure you don't wanna put a little more in that just in case?
Well, it's at 2,000 now, should we leave it at 2,000?
Well, the prior year, you used 767, I take it, or? that-
Yeah, there was a bunch of us that did citizen plan, but I don't know what else that would have included.
Oh, you know what we bought? We bought the MTA books, that would be educational and training. So that would be some more of your money there, Rach.
Well, then let's keep it at 2,000, fair?
Yeah,
Okay. So now all we have left is professional services, and that we're really gonna need your help with, Randy, because of course that included your fees, the Networks Northwest, and now we need to add a surveyor to that, so
Is it possible to break that down further?
we need to when we
You're gonna
give
have
it to
to.
him.
Okay, so it wouldn't just be that, 'cause I think,
I will give it to him like this, but I will also break it down separately of, so go ahead.
because I think it should be separated between the master plan work and the zoning work.
So you think actually asking them to add a line item for it, or
Well-
just breaking it down into something?
I guess it's up to them how they wanna do that, but I think. You know, and the billings that have been provided break it down now. So, it's easy enough to track.
Why would we need to break separate then?
Well, because,
I wanna know what the expenses are.
I mean, the master plan will be winding down by spring, by April, May, you know, we'll have a draft, there'll still be work to do. Of course, there'll be edits, more than likely some changes, things to add, delete, whatever. So that needs to be, I think, accounted for separately from the zoning work, which is a whole other animal. So I don't want those two yet. Prefer those two items are not commingled there.
So let's talk about the master plan first, what do we think is
In terms of costs.
professional services, that's you and any other outside entities that we might need to get this finished?
So that's with the idea that there's a draft on your agenda in April. And then edits to that draft. I guess that's hard to predict, of course, because I don't know what comments you'll have, I don't know.
Let's go high, so let's pretend we're gonna have a couple months of delay and issues.
You gotta plan for that, cause it could happen.
So originally what was budgeted was 32, but it was just a master plan. That's the number that was.
Oh, wait,
But and you have spent
we have
thus
a-
far.
we have a question from one of our members. Do you wanna let, ask the question? Linda has her hand.
If we open public comment, we have to open it to everybody, and I personally am inclined to wait.
Should I tell her to send? She got her hand up, apparently she has something for her to tell us.
I get a consensus, do we wanna open up for public comment right
You
now?
wanna open it up for public comment right now? Linda has her hand up.
Why don't we just finish this and then we can just go back to it?
We're almost to that, to public comment.
On that's the professional services, on Randy, yours isn't gonna change for this year, is it, because
She
of
might
the
know
zoning as
how to
well?
fix what we had, that's the problem.
what I was gonna say is if she makes a comment that makes us wanna change something, we can always go back and change it at the end of the meeting, right?
Right.
We don't have to
Okay.
skip what we took, so
We
I
get a
say,
discussion
yeah.
after comment,
let's just keep it how it's supposed to go.
okay,
Linda, raise your hand and wave to me if you heard that.
so 32,000 was your original for the entire master plan or for the fiscal year? Was for
For the
the,
year.
for the year,
That,
okay.
that was the number, I don't know where that came from, honestly, I don't, it just,
I know where it came from, it was just put in there.
Okay, so then let's say how
Yes,
much of that have you
honest statement.
spent? Hold on, let's stay focused, how much of that have you spent? It doesn't have to be exact, Randy, don't just
So we have,
half, and we have a couple months left.
And we amended the budget to 57.
when we added Leah. and we
That's,
added-
yeah, that's different, hold on, we're just focusing on just the master plan, no, we gotta do this systematically in my brain, or I will get lost.
That's okay.
So let's say you spend 20 this fiscal year, do you think 12 is fair?
20.
Let's say you spent 16 to date, we have a couple months left of the fiscal year, let's say you think 20 is fair through March, that'd be January,
Yes.
February, March. Okay. So
And
you
you're just
think
talking about
12,
his services right now, correct?
yes,
Okay.
so if we get to April through June, July, is 12,000 enough?
Through June, July, to have.
To have it master plan done.
Well,
12, that's a total of 32, what they originally said, gave us. So for fiscal year 20, just the master plan.
Then we'll have the zoning.
Now we'll talk, if that's fair, then let's go to the zoning.
So 12 for the master plan to finish it up,
For fiscal year 24-25.
yes.
That's estimating, originally you had 32 for this whole year. You'll spend about 20 of the 32 this year, and the other 12 that they had approved this year would finish it. I mean, that's essentially under budget, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, yes.
Is that fair, or do you wanna go a little higher?
Do you wanna go a little higher? I mean, I don't wanna
So,
have to go back.
here's the reality, I've not used it, I mean, I haven't had the hours in it, it's, and there's a lot of donated hours, quite honestly, that.
Well, I get that, and that's
So-
what I wanna get away from, so.
I don't wanna, I guess, I don't wanna come up short in the master plan either, because there isn't enough money in here to do either what I can do or what somebody else might wanna do, in terms of
Right, so
another firm.
do we go for broke and let them knock it down a little?
I think we just need to keep the, you know, like Randy said, realistically, 32, was that right, Randy, for the year?
That's what it was
Yeah,
originally.
is that was pretty close actually, wasn't it? So I think
Well,
another 32 for next would
I'm gonna
you,
do 15 for the master plan, 15 for zoning.
okay, there's 30.
There you go.
Because remember,
So,
the zoning is gonna take a lot of his time.
okay, so when, I'm not gonna pour us all right now, but when I get to writing this up, I'm gonna get some of those little bit more figures from you, so I can put the past, and, you know, so they can see that not all the money this fiscal year was used, so they should essentially give it to us for next year
And
too.
part of that's timing too, in that we can't really, I mean, we started this pretty much this fiscal year, and there was a little bit of work in the prior fiscal year.
Yeah, a little
Just a couple months,
Right.
time, so some of that, but I mean, it doesn't match up with the fiscal year the township.
So we have 30, and then we need surveying, which we talked about at 5,000,
Yeah.
is that what we're just gonna give them that number, or should we go a little higher?
Do you think that's gonna cover
I
all
don't
the
think it's
costs,
gonna cover
man?
what we're asking for.
I mean, you're asking for maps and.
We're asking them to transfer 11 zones onto
Uh-huh.
a map and do research to make sure that all the amendments follow it.
Right, so we're gonna give them the amendments, I mean, the surveyor wouldn't have those unless we give it to him.
Right, but he still has to go through all that paperwork, right?
My concern is that there's gonna be discussion when we find out that there's conflicts between legal descriptions that we've done over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Well, what we could do is when we find them, of course, that would be something we didn't anticipate,
Right,
but you know,
so then that may require more
Yes.
conversation with the surveyor to say, how do we rectify this?
Why don't we go 8?
That sounds more
safer?
realistic to me.
Does
Or we
sound
can
a
even do
little
10,
more-
we're only at 30,000, and we
Well,
have
I think-
32 before we ask him for the
I
addition.
think 10 is realistic too, because once we get this where we want it, we'll take it back to Josh, right, Randy? And have him
Yeah.
manipulate it where it needs to go and build us the product.
Well, when we do the RFP, we can ask for the deliverable to be an AutoCAD file, and Josh could import.
There's your file.
Okay, so I think you're right, Rachel, that'll take care of everything and we won't have to be concerned about.
Are there any other professional services that we would need, any reasons to have like Leah back or anything like that that anybody can foresee in the next year? Then we're at 40,000 for line item.
I had one question,
Go ahead.
Rachel, when we wanted to take this to the attorney, let's say to have him look at different things if we need to, does that come out of ours or is that the township?
I don't know which line item it would be.
Do we have to, there's nothing we have to do there, is there?
That's a good point, though.
What the kids,
The attorney fees, where do they come out?
I was just thinking about that, doesn't that all have to go to the attorney at some point?
That's all. Just general.
General fund.
Just, okay,
That's good. I was gonna say, I don't ever remember seeing that itemized in any of the stuff I've received, so. Okay. We did it. I'm gonna run through them again just so that you can see what I have. 727, I'm starting at office supplies, 2,000. 728 postage, 2,000. Professional services, 40,000, that's master plan, zoning ordinance, and the survey map work. Dues, 725 to join the Michigan Association of Planning. Software, 160, mileage, 250, meals and lodging, 0. 880 education and training, 2,000, publishing, 3,000, and printing, 3,000. And I don't know what that total is, but it doesn't really matter because I need to add the salaries, so. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
we agree.
We agree, so do we have to just do a consensus on there? Okay, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Awesome, 5 yeses. Okay, now we can move on to,
I have one question, I might have missed something. Well, we were talking about the number of meetings with the board. I have to say, those 2 meetings we had with the board were the most productive meetings I've seen. It was all cooperation, where there was concerns, everybody tried to come up with a solution and did. But I think in my experience goes back 40 years, more than that. If you have too many meetings, it gets routine. I don't see why we need more than 2 meetings here with the board. One, to set up what we plan to do for the year and what the board wants us to do. The second would be, after a period of time, to review the progress or problems we're having with it, or if there's some kind of a special meeting. I think 4 meetings is too many unless there's something special. The other more important, what does the board think? How many meetings do they feel we should have with them?
well, they get the final say, so they can update their budget, but the way I look at it is, I think you're right, 2 in an ideal, a normal, regular year is probably plenty. I think in our circumstances, we're trying to account for issues with the zoning or the master plan. And so that we have that cushion there to meet with them, and if we need to. We don't have to, but then the money's there and we don't have to move it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I think the second meeting we had to let you know where we're at, what's been accomplished, I think that was excellent. Because previously, we never had a meeting with them.
yeah.
I think that was a problem.
I think it really helps.
Well, I think part of our reasoning for having some joint meetings with them also was to help promote some working together. Because before we were having those meetings, we were having trouble, the board and the PC working together. So, that was a part of
Oh, yes.
promoting these meetings.
But I think, if too many, it gets to be routine.
I would agree.
And it's not necessary, but I think what we had, the first one, I was amazed at both of these meetings, how well they went. Yeah, you know, you have to understand their point of view and our point of view, and we work for them. You know, what do they want us to work on, and what should we be working on, and why? And I think we've covered that better than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And like Carl says too, their schedule is already full.
Yeah.
You know,
Right, yeah.
So packet page 73 is an email that Bob Hall shared with us about a grant for Michigan Housing Ready grant initiative. I don't know a lot about it, but I mean, it's, and the due date's January 16th for an online application portal. I didn't know what your guys' thoughts are, maybe I was hoping Randy could help us on this a little bit, but I mean, wouldn't that be nice to have a grant for 50,000? I'm sure we don't have time for all this, but I wanted to at least minimum share
Start
with.
filling in the blanks.
Just want to call your attention to the last sentence that it says funds have been allocated for communities that have or have not engaged in the RRC program. That's the redevelopment communities program that we're talking about.
That you were just telling me.
Is that what we're
It's
joining?
not a prerequisite yet, but the state of Michigan has been involved with this for probably 10 years now, and there's a definite push to get people, the communities in this program.
We have to get in there first though,
Well-
before we.
I'm just trying to point out the relevance of that, so that you're in a better position to get funding. It's not-
So even though it's not a prerequisite, there, it's probably gonna be favored for somebody that is. That's what you're saying in a clearer way.
Yeah.
He's basically saying we join now.
Well, it takes years to get through that program.
It does.
It does.
Oh, no. I'm really curious to hear more about it. So I'm guessing there's nothing we can really do with this, considering the time crunch and not knowing much about it, per those comments as well, but.
Well, we'd have to join real quick, like next week.
Anyway, I think we have to move on from it, but I think it's always interesting to me that there's so much of this stuff out here, and it's like we just barely touched the surface of what my knowledge is, but also what we try to act on or do within our township. So I think it's always important to call attention to what potentials are out there. If nothing else, that's what we've done here.
Oh, well, here you go. It says the portal will be open January 16th and stay open until funds are no longer available. I'm gonna click to learn more here and see what happens.
Let us know, report back, would you? Cause I did not, and I totally read that backwards.
You just read it and I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I read.
You're right,
Okay.
and I read it the first time, the third time, and the fifth time, that's saying way wrong, so thank you. It's a good thing we have a team.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out, cause
Thank you.
what if it's just a one pager, maybe, we just go down the page?
There could be some funding.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
There's some more detailed planning where we need to.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, I'll put that on my to-dos, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next meeting is February 7th at 7 p.m. And now I'm going to open it up for public comment. Nobody is in the hall, so we'll go to Zoom first or only. Go ahead, Linda. Sorry to make you wait.
Oh, you got it on, you unmuted her?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so my internet connection's been a little unstable in the last 30 minutes, so I might have missed something. I did want to make a comment regarding these contract services. So I think I gathered that you guys concluded that on the existing contracts with Randy, you're going to have an expected $30,000 worth of postings against those contracts that will push into the next budget year. And that you added $10,000 for survey work. I think I understood that correctly. My additional question was really, can we complete the reviews with the public and the township board and then make, as well as adjacent communities, and then if additional revisions to the master plan are required based on that feedback, does Randy's existing contracts cover that? Or are we going to anticipate an additional contract to wrap up the final version? That's my question. So anyway,
Hold on. We can answer you in PC discussion and comments.
Okay.
Anything else, Linda?
no, that's all.
We have another hand up that says owner. You have the floor. You can go ahead and state your name and address, please.
I can't hear him.
It's unmuted. Can't hear you.
Hello? He's gone.
Took a hand down. Okay, anybody else? Okay. That's all for public comment then, so now we can go back to discussion. So I think to start, go ahead.
Just a clarifying comment on the contract that I have with the township. The way it was prepared suggested that there were budget numbers in the current fiscal year, but then in subsequent fiscal years, it would be, the work would be as authorized by the planning commission according to its budget approved by the board. So there isn't really another contract to do the way it was written, so I just, maybe that's a clarification that Linda needed to understand that there's not another contract to be prepared. It's the planning commission, unlike prior years, now would control the work that is done by myself and any other company that's hired. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Rather than doing an annual contract over and over again. That's the way it was written.
Yeah, the only other thing I took away from her comment was, maybe she was asking, I think, if there's more, is that enough? Are we sure that's enough if it doesn't go as planned? And I think we talked about that, maybe that was when she cut out, that we were accounting for this to possibly go into June, July for the master plan. So I think we covered it.
Or beyond, I mean.
Yeah, right.
Next year, to the fall perhaps.
We put 10,000 on the master plan, so I mean, that's like, what, probably at least 5 months of work.
We left
Like
2,000.
full-time work on just that, that would be almost a year's worth of work because you're usually billing for both, right?
So I heard 15 for the master plan, 15 for the zoning.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
sorry, yes, you're
In
right.
next year's budget.
So we went 15 for the master plan, 15 for the zoning, and we went 10 for the mappage for the zone.
For
Mappage and survey.
the survey work.
Which is a total of 40 for professional service.
Correct.
Yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable.
And you're comfortable with we got enough money in the cover?
Yeah, I mean, it's unknown for everybody in terms of
Right.
where we're at, you know, as far as what comments come up. You know, I envision the master plan having a really substantial overview of all the things that need to get done, and it's not unusual for the master plan to call out more planning work to be done in a focused area. For example, the old Williamsburg area, we might want to get some more detailed drawings done. We could do a sub-area plan for that and not hold up the whole master plan. You can't necessarily have every possible issue addressed completely, but I think you'll have a good framework for going forward.
So it would tell you like that might be something in the following fiscal year you need to budget for because the master plan says we need to dive deeper into that.
Right.
I see, yeah.
Exactly. And give the
Sets
parameters
you
of what we need to do and exactly what the outcome should be, but the detail might be a separate, smaller planning effort.
In the master plan, like talking about this issue about this downtown area that people are interested in. Would it be okay to say something to the effect of, we see, interest in that, but at this point in time, we don't know how to make that work? And, you know, lead towards, like what Rachel was saying about the years coming, maybe we can figure out how to work towards that.
Right.
Because I know there's some interest in that, but I have no clue how to make it work with the problems that are there. So a lot of
So I
money.
think you could expect the master plan to describe a general course of action, the general parameters, what we'd like to see there, and then call out the covered work element to come afterwards that says, okay, so we need to dig deeper into the infrastructure issues, the building facade design, maybe even like the four-way code to achieve this thing. Maybe look at development partners, see how the MEDC programs fit into that. There's more moving parts that, you know, I wouldn't want to hold up the whole master plan until that issue is resolved.
Right.
Because we have so much other things that are priorities, so you kind of set that aside and say that's more of a longer term kind of project for us, but it's important. We don't want to say about completion of the master plan to resolve all those issues, otherwise, you know, we got another year or two down the road.
Right. I mean, in my mind, the master plan is just it's the guiding, it's not the answer.
Right.
So in the master plan, that needs to be relayed. This isn't the answer to everything, it's just the direction we would like to see it go.
But one of the key things is a work program that basically says, these are the things we need to do, here's a sense of priorities for all of them. You know, there's that section that needs to be written that says, our zoning ordinance says this, that's contrary to the master plan, we need to change our zoning ordinance to align better with what the community wants to see. So. That's what we should do.
Any other discussions on that? So we'll go to keynotes to share at the next regular board meeting, so that's next week. So are there anything that I have the things that, I'm putting into the February township board packet, which will be the budget request and the bylaws for their information. And then March, I'll put in the annual report for them. But as far as Heidi's report goes next week, is there anything specifically we'd like her to share with them?
Anything? Just basically give them a recap of what we went over.
I would let them know that they definitely have the budget coming in February, that we talked it through and we know what we want, we're just getting it ready for their February packet. So they know that we're on track with that. I think that's.
Okay, budget
I
on its way.
was concerned that we wouldn't have it we wanted it now, we didn't have it ready.
Right, budget's on its way.
So do we need a planning commission rep to be at that meeting to present the budget, or is it?
I do that.
Yeah, okay.
Unless one of you wants to come with and enjoy the party, it's usually me, I'm the only one there in the audience most of the time too. Hopefully we have some more members in the audience.
I am gonna try to do just the way they're used to seeing it, just like this with
Yes,
on the front page. And then I'll go into some more detail and justifications and stuff and goals on the next page. So hopefully it's only 2 pages total and it's pretty overview, so hopefully that.
And you have your notes and everything next to it, so yes, okay. Other than that, I'll just tell them that we're.
Oh, the RFP, I might let them know that we're working on writing an RFP for the survey because of I know we were waiting to see what we like the product. What would you call that,
survey and zoning map issues?
Zoning legal descriptions and zoning map.
Zoning map update.
Yeah, because we were waiting at the last meeting, we talked about waiting to see what Scott provided us, and he hasn't provided us anything, so clearly it's time to move forward.
Right.
And at least 2 months.
Yeah, so you might mention that too, that's the
Okay,
reason we haven't received any.
time out, I need to know, I can mention it, but I kinda wanna know, what's the guy's problem? Are we holding him up, or is he holding us up?
I reached out to him several weeks ago. So just go look at my email.
Can you poke him again, and then let me know what he says before I go into detail about the RFP, because I'm sure there'll be questions on it. Well, 2 months, what the heck's going on?
I emailed him on December 12th and asked how we're doing, and he said he's working on it, but he had nothing to share yet.
That's,
Okay, we're ready for
Yeah, it's
another
December,
update, it's another.
that's not gonna work,
Yeah.
because if that's how we're gonna do the map, then you can see it's gonna take a very, very long time, so
How are we
I
gonna?
wouldn't say that's not acceptable.
Unless he's providing something around that.
Well, how about this, reach out to him, find out where he's at, and then maybe look at is he our only choice?
No,
No, that's why
No.
we're gonna do the RFP,
That's right, that's why we're doing this.
because he has.
Well, poke him in a way that lets him know, we need some work here, or we're going elsewhere.
We got good choice, with Godlings and Zubley,
We
I don't know if
already-
I'm fine with that name, and we've got Farrier, so we've got excellent
And we already
choices.
made a motion to have an RFP made,
Yeah,
so
so-
we're moving forward, he can get in on the RFP if he wants, but so far he's not.
I think that's a good
Super
move.
great.
Yeah,
Just wave at him and go, hey, remember us?
You know,
I mean, I
our-
think it's to get a status update from him would be okay, but I think we have to move forward in RFP, I'm not gonna wait around.
if
You know,
we've got a warning sign, we better take it.
Yeah. In our RFP, should we be asking for timely, work to be done timely?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's.
We could
It's
give them
usually in there, Mike.
We could ask for an estimated end date.
Right,
so he was given the information on November 10th.
we're almost, yeah.
So it's 2 months out.
So,
And we're on the 3rd, so come on.
those are the only things when I look at my notes that I think are really glaring, that they would need to know. You know, next week is just a verbal kind of report. And then, does anybody else think of anything that you think she should let the board know? Okay, then action items for the PC, it's really Heidi, well, Randy, it's mostly Randy, then me, and then Heidi for work, so I will just send us an email
There you go.
to do's from my notes instead of trying to read my writing right now. If you guys are okay with that,
And I filled in all your little boxes.
me too.
Okay.
It was really nice. No continuing education tonight, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 9:35. Thank you all for attending. And again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody on Zoom. Sorry I did such a crappy job. All right, now I have to send this to the cloud.
You owned it. That's a good thing. You owned it.
You know, on your education stuff there,
Yeah.
part of the idea of joining the Michigan Association of Planning is the education opportunities.
Okay, let me add that to my notes as justification. Oh, yeah, you sent me, I'm sure that's listed. Like, sometimes my handwritten notes are better.
Because, you know, they're, like, when they have the one here,
The one
there was
coming up
there was
in
a cost, right?
Yeah.
When you went,
It was
Or
cheaper.
was it
if you
cheaper if
remember.
you remember?
right. I mean, they're, you know, you don't even know for sure what they have to offer, but it's a great stuff. Right, you get that in there for education.
Okay, I did put invites to trainings, but that's not the same as getting the education cheaper because you're a member.